What's going on, YouTube? So I'm making this video today to talk about my Polaris Ranger 1000. And this is a segue video into some other videos I'd like to post in regards to our adventures, mudding, going trail riding here in the Central Florida area. So one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of videos on YouTube about the XPs and different trails and stuff like that, which is great. However, mine is the single overhead cam, so it's just the 1000 Crew Premium, not the XP edition. But we did a lot of work to her in order to get her to where she is now. So I'd like to just kind of go over what changes we've made to it and what has seemed to work really well for us, with the plan on future changes coming up this year. So that being said, let's get into it. All right, so let's start from the back here and kind of go over some things. One, you'll notice that I am for sure losing the paint on this exhaust. Plan is to change that exhaust at some point, but truthfully, I don't think the exhaust really makes much of a difference on this machine, minus the sound maybe being a little bit more intense, but we'll save that for a last resort option. Now, what we do have on here, which is functional, is we've got the SuperATV A-arms, which have been solid. I did have to change this side one time, which ultimately led to me changing both sides. We've got Calvin coming to say hello. Hello, Calvin. But what had happened was I had this little leaf end piece snap on me. I had this little earpiece snap on me. And I'm not going to fault SuperATV for that. I think their equipment is very strong. It's, again, this is the second set on here. But I believe that was just a mishap. What happened there, this bolt was not tightened or had come loose. And so ultimately the bolt was kind of rattling back and forth under use. And we were on a situation where the back tire here was basically taking all the weight, and that ultimately led to it snapping, which it actually did make it home back to camp that night. So that was good. So it wasn't like a catastrophic failure, had to get a tractor or anything like that. But that is one thing to note, that we did have a malfunction here with this earpiece snapping. All right, and then you'll notice we've got these Demon heavy duty axles from Demon Powersports. These things have been on the bike for a very long time now. This is a 2022, if I didn't mention that earlier. So this is a 2022, and I bought it brand new, right off the lot, just completely stock. We had nothing else done to it at that point in time, except I will say, I believe we did add the forward 2-inch A-arms at the dealership before we bought it. That was to do some additional ground clearance because we bought it with different tires on it, before we realized what we were actually going to use it for, which ultimately being more mud related than trail related. But these axles, after I snapped one of the stock axles, went on this machine, and I have not, knock on wood, had a single problem with them since. They have been super strong, super reliable. Would certainly go with Demon Powersports again for axles, if these ones were ever to go out. All right, so Calvin wants to get in the shot here. Calvin, say hello. All right, hello, Calvin. So we have 6-inch portals all the way around, and my brakes pads are gone, so I'll say that. But we have 6-inch portals. These are the SuperATV GDP portals, I think it is. Single idler. Now, I did previously have 4-inch dual idlers for this machine. In fact, I still have them actually in the garage. But the 4-inch dual idlers had a problem where they were continuing to get water in them. Now, I don't think that's an issue with the portal itself. These ones have been solid, and I did all the work for the portals the first time myself. In addition, I did these ones myself. But what I believe the issue was in my haste to put them together on the 4-inch portals, I ultimately ended up putting the screws here that go into the portal and hold it onto the bracket, and basically just ooga-dooga'd those guys down. And there is a specific torque for these, so note to anybody, if you are installing these, make sure to torque them to the specs that they list in there. I forget the exact specs. I want to say it's like 60 something foot-pounds, but definitely torque them. I think that when I just cranked mine down thinking, oh, well, you know, I just want them on there solidly, so let's just hit them with the impact, it's very likely that I just caused the seal to no longer be sealed appropriately with the added pressure. So that was my mistake. But the portals held up solidly. I never actually had an issue with the portal locking up or anything like that. What did happen was with the water just getting in, I was constantly taking them out and draining the oil in them, the portal blood in them, and then going to having issues with like them overheating and stuff like that. So I bought rebuild kits and was going to rebuild them, and then I decided I want to just go ahead with the 6-inch because the plan was we were going to go bigger anyways on tires at some point. So we went with the 6-inch single idlers, and that's where they are now. All right, so I'll mention one other thing here, which no point in really showing too much on the camera, but we do have in here a Duraclutch. We've got the Duraclutch clutches in there that I got from Gilomen Innovations, actually, and as well got the Gilomen Tune for them. So what happened was I got the Duraclutch, and the reason for getting the Duraclutch was I was continuing to blow belts. By continuing, I mean probably 3 belts were blown over the period of probably 3 months. So after that, I did a bunch of research trying to figure out what was going to help me to maybe stop blowing belts. And I did have the portals on already at this time. So I went ahead and contacted Gilomen, who I'd heard great reviews about, and ultimately got the Duraclutch system with the tuning as well too for the tires and the portals that were on here, the 6-inch ones. And since then, again, knock on wood, have not had a single belt blow. So highly recommend Gilomen, highly recommend Duraclutch. Has been fantastic for me since putting that on here. Moving up to here, so we did add the snorkel kit from SuperATV, and I will say a lot of this bike has been SuperATV. So have no issues again with SuperATV. They've been great. I've actually even talked to some of the folks over there before when I was originally first building this bike, trying to get recommendations and things like that. They were always super helpful. I think I had one issue one time with an order, and they were very quick to assist me with that order. So great things with SuperATV. But the snorkel, that is, has been absolutely fantastic. I ended up running, this wasn't part of the kit per se, but I did end up running my own gas vent line, and then as well too, this is for the transmission vent. So I ran these up here myself. I just wanted them fully up and out of the way instead of like the baffling or anything like that. I just want to make sure that those were up and didn't have any issues, and since we haven't had any issues, so pretty easy install to put these on. You've got one intake, one exhaust for your clutch, and then the intake for the engine itself. Mine is not even fully bolted down, I don't think, the right way, but I haven't had any issues with it. So it's still solidly bolted in. I think there was like one of the bolts I was supposed to put in to help with a little bit of that jiggle, but been fine, so that's how she rides. All right, not necessarily a modification here, but we did add this Kemimoto storage box, which has been great. So you'll see my ropes and stuff like that remain in there. They were just used, so that's why they are dirty right now. I've again got to pull everything out and give everything a nice deep cleaning. But for video purposes, we've got this mounted up here on the side of the bed. It actually stays pretty sealed. We go all the way up to this thing and sometimes water deep, and it has been great. I haven't had any issues with it leaking or anything like that. I do pop it off every now and then when my ropes and stuff get dirty, just give that a cleaning out as well too. But other than that, that thing's been great. And well, I have no complaints about that. It's a nice little extra storage thing. And actually, while we're talking on storage here, I'll just quickly move into this as well from Kemimoto. This has been phenomenal. Probably needs a little tightening up. It's starting to kind of sag just a little bit there, but we carry all kinds of different things in here for just different little items that we may need on the trails. The remote for my winch is up there and out of the way, as well as little toolkits and stuff like that. I might have it in the garage at the moment. As well, people will put phones and stuff like that up there just to make sure that they're up and at least somewhat protected. This is water resistant, not waterproof, but it is water resistant and has done great. I haven't had anything that's in there get wet to date. So one thing I guess I didn't really talk about too much here is the tires. So these are 33 8x18 BKT ATs on an 18-inch fuel wheel. Again, you can see my pads are gone, so we need to get those swapped immediately. But no issues here. I've definitely ran up on logs and stumps and things like that, so some of the tires have little tree bits in the wheel well that I have attempted to scoop out, but no issues. Never lost any air pressure or anything like that with the tires. Never had them pop a bead, anything like that. The plan is to go to 35s, possibly even 37s, but most likely we'll go to 35s, just for convenience sake and not have to change much else, since she has been great. I don't want to go too crazy with things and start breaking additional stuff or anything like that, but that being said, these tires have been phenomenal. I have no issues with them, minus in sugar sand. So if anybody's ran BKTs, I'm going to assume you've probably had the same experience, but they do not like sugar sand. They are great as far as in the mud, but when it comes to sugar sand, they seem to just kind of dig down versus really trying to bite at the sand and go forward. All right, so I'll just mention quickly here, this is the little soundbar that we have. I used to actually have a subwoofer as well too, bolted on the ground, but again, with the water riding and stuff like that, that guy did not last very long. The soundbar has been great. This is from Ecoxgear, and it has been really solid, changes lights and stuff like that, although I don't quite do that too much, but it's got lights in the back. I'll just show you real quick on those. So these lights light up. And as well too, they've got lights just kind of around the speakers and things like that change colors. Again, I don't really use the lights too much on it, but the sound quality is pretty good. We usually have a packed vehicle, so this is the 6-seater, and usually we're using almost all 6 seats in this thing when we're out riding. So the sound quality is good. We don't really blast it too terribly loud, so I would say if you are looking for the pinnacle peak of loudness, this would not be it, but for our purposes, it does phenomenal. All right, just moving on. We'll talk about the windshield here real quick in case anybody has any questions about windshields. I mean, it's a very straightforward item here. These guys do vent open, so if it's a hot day and you want some wind going through, you can crack those open. I also like to open them up when I'm trailering, but this windshield has been great. This is just a plexiglass windshield. I have had 2 now glass windshields. In fact, actually, this is still a piece from one of the previous windshields that would flip up. But we do go way off trail and things like that, and have had now 2 glass windshields crack on us. So ultimately, I made the decision we're going to get rid of the glass, at least for now, and we are going to go ahead and go with the plexiglass, which has been far better for our style of riding. You know, no issues here with cracking, and we've had plenty of trees scrape it, hit it, all that fun stuff, and no issues whatsoever. So, all right, so moving on from the windshield, a couple items in the front here to touch on. These are not Demon axles. These are SuperATV, the Rhino 2.0 axles. These have been good. I haven't had any issues with them, minus the sticker there coming off. I did snap one front axle, which was a stock one, and then that led me to swapping these out. At the time, Demon Powersports did not have front axles for this bike, at least not that I could find online, so I ended up just going with the Rhino 2.0s. Again, they have been fine. If they were to go, I believe Demon Powersports does now have the front axles for this machine, so I would likely go that route if I ever had to change these again, just based on how strong the ones in the rear have been. But again, no complaints on these. As far as ball joints go, I have certainly broken my fair share of ball joints. I have tried out several different ones online. These are the Keller ball joints. They have been good so far. Ultimately, one day I would definitely like to maybe go bigger and then justify going to something that is a ball joint delete A-arm. But for now, we are rocking the Kellers. And moving on to our inside here, you will notice that this is a little bit different from the norm. This is a kit that I had gotten that moved the radiator up from its original location, which was down here further, moved it up a little bit, and that way it's a little bit more out of the mud and things like that. I will say that I don't recall exactly where I got this kit from at the current moment, but if I can find it, and I will happily put it on in the description below here. The kit was great. There was a lot of cutting. As you can see in here, there was a lot of cutting that ended up having to take place. The one thing I did do different was the container for the cooler or coolant was supposed to be mounted up underneath here, and I ended up just kind of tucking it in here with no screws here, but there is the one screw on the inside there, and it's solid. It's not going anywhere, and that kind of just put that up and out of the way a little bit better. So it's been good. I haven't really had any issues with that. You do use for the kit, it does use the original fan or the original radiator, but it does come with a different fan to put on it. So again, I don't recall exactly where that kit came from, but I'll try and find it and put in the description. I don't think I could find any videos online about the kit when I had purchased it. I forget exactly how I even stumbled across it, just searching for a radiator relocate kit for this bike. Just, again, stumbled across it. Was a little, took a little finagling and stuff like that. The instructions that it came with were pretty solid. I made a couple different changes myself, like I mentioned. Mounted my winch module here, just to kind of get things at least a little bit tidied. But it's been great. I haven't really had any issues as far as the radiator or anything like that. It does keep it up out of the mud a little bit better. You'll probably see that it's a little darker down here. Usually this thing will get to about here covered. Sometimes we've had it all the way covered, but just normal riding out at like Hogweiler or any of the other areas in the Central Florida area that we go to, it's up out of the way and not down in its original location where the whole time, almost every time we were going out, it was just getting completely covered with mud and whatever. So good kit. Would highly recommend. Again, didn't really see much about it from my research. Maybe that's changed since I first put this on, which was probably a year ago. But it's definitely worth checking out in my opinion. The only other thing I can really think at the current moment that I did add to this bike here is the frame stiffeners. So when I did do the 6-inch portals from the 4-inch, I did go ahead and add frame stiffeners to it from SuperATV. Very simple install, so would recommend it. It was recommended to add that on just to give that extra little bit of support from having any issues with any of the leafs or anything like there breaking on your frame and stuff like that. So I did add that. Kind of hard to get a good visual of it, but that is added on there as well too. So that's pretty much side by side in a nutshell. Again, we have a lot of fun with it. It's been great to us. Look forward to more rides and future upgrades to it. So if you're into that kind of thing, stick around, watch further on the channel. We're going to post more videos, some older clips of some of our riding at Hogweiler and other areas in the Central Florida area here. As well, look to do some stuff with trucks and Jeep stuff. And we got boats, old Camaros, jet skis, things of that nature. Like to have fun, hang out with family, friends, and like to share that with everybody else. So if you're into that, subscribe, stick around for the show, and we'll see you guys next time.